My name is Brianna. I'm a 15-year-old female. I work at McDonald's, and this is my story. It was a Saturday or Sunday. It was around 7 a.m. or so. It was dead like usual, so I went back to the back to do some stock work. I heard the door open, and I rolled my eyes and headed back to the counter. I saw a man, about 6 foot tall, 45 years old. He was sitting in a booth by himself. It was creepy, but I didn't think much about it and continued to go back to my stock. About 5 minutes later, I went back to see if the man was still there. He still was there. I went over there and asked if he needed anything. He looked at me weirdly, and then he looked me up and down and smiled creepily at me. I was now weirded out by this man. Suddenly, he got up and started walking towards me, and then started to touch my shoulder. I pushed it off and he started reaching out for me. Keep in mind, I'm 130 pounds, 5'1", and I'm 15 years old with no body strength. Somehow, I managed to get out a scream, and then I punched him right in the cheek, which didn't do much, but it managed to make him stumble back a bit. I ran to the back to call my other coworker and made him call 911. The cops showed up, and that guy was arrested. I never found out what happened to him. I still work at McDonald's, but I now carry around pepper spray with me. That was definitely a weird experience, and I'm not sure why that guy did that, but I'm so glad that I never saw him again. On my first day ever at working at McDonald's, I was working the drive-thru. This huge guy pulls up and rattles off a crazy long order. I get to the end of it, and then he adds, "I want the register too." I really had no idea how to respond to this, so I was just like, "Yeah, okay, come to the next window." I was fully prepared to give this man all the cash we had. I'm not willing to lose my life over a minimum wage McDonald's job. He eventually pulls up to my window, where I charge him for all the stuff that he ordered prior to the attempted robbery. He asks for the money again. I tell him that he'll get it at the next window, because the next window is the collection window, and this window is only for the payments. No idea what I was thinking, but it worked. So he drives to the next window. In the meantime, I radio to my manager that this man wants the money and is about to arrive at the collection window. When he gets there, he's greeted by my manager. She has a heart of gold, but she was this huge woman. Must have been 6'3" and weighed 300 pounds. She was very intimidating. She hands him all the stuff he ordered, and then she began to tell him, "We can't get you the register. I'm sorry about that." He says, "Alright, thanks anyway," and then he drove off. Hands down, the craziest place that I've ever worked, and that was by far the craziest experience that I ever experienced at McDonald's. I'm a former overnight worker at McDonald's. The shift I worked was 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. We had a regular come through the drive-thru at midnight. We all knew him by his voice and the obscene amount of food he always ordered. We weren't allowed to pull cars around after the lobby closed at 11 p.m., so by the time he left with all of his food, we always had 10 to 15 cars piled up behind him in each lane. Usually, it was only me, a girl in the back booth, one manager, and two grill guys at Max staff. The regular guy pulls up and orders his usual 20 sandwiches and 40 to 60 nuggets, plus whatever ice cream he wants that night for him and his buddies. He pulls up to the back booth. He began to blow smoke into the face of the girl working, gives her the exact change, calls her a nasty name, and drives to the second window. I'm extremely mad at this point, and so is my manager, because it was this girl's second overnight shift, and she was upset enough that she wanted to call her mom to pick her up. My manager handles the situation by telling the grill guys to stop making the orders after they'd already made half of it. He began to refund the guy in full, then tells him to get lost. The man in the drive-thru, he didn't handle it well. He sat outside the window for 5 minutes, threatening to report us and teach us a lesson for what we've done. My manager threatened to call the cops. He sped away a bit after that and was politely refused service when he tried to come back the next night. I still hate that guy. Some McDonald's restaurants come complete with a play area, and who doesn't enjoy a good jungle gym? Especially the ones with the ball pits. The only thing is, the ball pits are actually kind of gross. Have you ever watched the kids play in the ball pit? Those little kids lick the balls, wipe their snotty hands on them, and all sorts. Although another kid's saliva isn't the scariest thing found in a McDonald's ball pit. It seems a child died in 1994 after playing in the ball pit. The urban legend has it that 3-year-old Kevin Archer was pricked by a hypodermic needle containing heroin when he dived into the sea of balls. The story circulated the internet in 1999, apparently written by Kevin's mother, who said that her son died of a drug overdose. After his death, police removed all the balls from the pit, and what they found was a disgrace. Apparently, the balls only get taken out and cleaned once a month. And in this pit, in Sugarland, Texas, authorities found rotten food, feces, diapers, half-eaten candy, knives, and needles. Kevin's mother signed off the message by saying that readers could check the October 10th, 1994 issue of the Houston Chronicle, although, of course, there is no such mention of the death. This is by far the scariest McDonald's urban legend I have ever heard. I was working at a McDonald's when I was 16 years old, and a man who looked to be homeless came in saying that he got stabbed and to call 911. He went back outside so he wouldn't bleed everywhere. Everyone at my work acted like they didn't know what to do. I went outside and the guy had his wrist stabbed, so I took off my McDonald's belt and wrapped it around his arm like a tourniquet. My dad's in the medical field, so I've always had a little bit of a background. After the ambulance came and helped the man out, my bosses took me into the back, and I got reprimanded because McDonald's could be liable if something had happened to me. I would have done it again, though. Years ago, I met a woman at a McDonald's. We got to talking for a little bit, and she shared some very frightening and very sinister information with me. She had a sister who was murdered by a prolific serial killer who picked up women in the area years ago. She said her family only ever got back her sister's teeth. The killer used to feed his victims' butchered bodies to his pigs. The woman seemed really affected by it, and I totally understand why. I comforted her and told her I'd pray for her. We got talking for a little bit longer, and then we both took off. I've never seen that woman again, but I really hope that she's doing okay to this day. I was working at a McDonald's late at night when the lobby was about to close. No one was in there, so I decided to eat in the lobby before I headed home. A homeless man walked in and walked straight towards me. I thought he was going to ask me a question, but instead, he leaned down, literally face to face, 5 inches away from me. I was frozen at that point. He was talking in a demonic voice, telling me that he was sent to me by Lucifer to meet me at this exact time and spot. He said more, but I was so afraid that I froze and blanked it all out. I do remember finally having enough strength to say, "Get away from me." I turned and saw my manager coming to my rescue. The man walked slowly out of the lobby and vanished behind a tree. Later that night, I went home. I was so afraid. I was shaking and I was so tired. Every time I tried to close my eyes to go to sleep, I could see his face. A police report was filed, but that's the end of it. The police never caught the guy. Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening to this video. If you have a personal, true, scary story that you would like for me to eventually read on this channel, please send it to my email, midnightgoosebumps@yahoo.com. I appreciate you guys' love and support. If you enjoy this video, please like the video. It helps the YouTube algorithm and helps other people see it. And if you want to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more videos in the future, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you on the next video.